Welcome to the Kindness Project, the podcast designed to share stories of kindness and share how kindness can make positive change in our world, one small act at a time. On this episode of the Kindness Project, Mumbo Number 5, Netflix, and we have part 1 of our interview with Marcus Thomlinson. Are you going to just sing Mumbo Number 5 as the start of the podcast? Is that what you're going to do? Yeah, Mumbo Number 5. A little bit of do-do-do-do-do, a little bit of Sandra in the sun.
It's been stuck in my head for like a day.
Mambo Number 5 is that.
Okay.
And it's by the man known as Lou Vega, or Lou Vega, something like that. Anyway, should we start the podcast anytime soon or not? Go on then.
Am I starting? Okay, let's go.
You're starting.
I'm joined by a man who loves the song Doubt but doesn't have any. It's Chris Day.
Oh, a Lewis Capaldi reference.
No, wrong one.
Who's Doubt by?
Doubt's the other one. The one about the one with Lewis Capaldi is Someone You Loved.
Right.
Doubt's the other one. The one you shot.
Oh no, that's Sam Henshaw, isn't it?
Yeah.
He is amazing and Rich 32. I've got some doubt, self-doubt. Just a smidgen of self-doubt.
Okay.
Just I've got qualities, and I am joined by a girl who can't find his intro, and a girl who
can't find
and I'm joined by a girl who is actually from the planet Netflix. It's Charlotte Dames. How you doing?
A Bandersnatch reference or a reference to the fact that I enjoy binge watching?
I think it's a reference to you do spend a lot of time watching Netflix shows.
Yeah. It would be a good Bandersnatch reference though.
It would. Now, let's talk about music for a bit, right? Because Lewis Capaldi we're loving at the minute, right? And no, see, I don't think Mambo Number 5 counts as music, but if I was at a party and Mambo Number 5 come on,
I dance.
I would be on the dance floor. But would I don't know where. I think there's a difference between music you listen to at home and music that you'd like. You go to a family party or something like that, and you would dance to. Let me give you an example, right? Mambo Number 5, right? Party music. I wouldn't put it on at home, but I would party to it.
I'd party at home to it.
Would you party at home to Mambo Number 5?
Yeah.
Right, let me challenge that. Macarena. Would you put the Macarena on at home?
Yeah.
ABBA. Would you put ABBA on at home? Okay. We're just. I'm just trying to lower the level now. Kylie Minogue. No, actually, Kylie's alright. Kylie's alright. What's your level? What's the thing you wouldn't listen to?
What don't I listen to at home? I listen to everything. Like, comes on the playlist, I listen to it. That's it.
So you've got no standards at all? No musical standards at all, it doesn't matter. And what's your favourite thing on Netflix ever?
Oh, you can't ask me that.
Because that is this week's question of the podcast.
You can't ask me that.
What is your favourite thing on Netflix?
I don't think you're going to get many responses for this one.
Alright, well I know how many responses I've got because I've asked it already.
I don't like this question.
Why? Because
I watch a lot of stuff on Netflix. You know what is my favourite thing on Netflix at the moment? One Day at a Time.
What's it about?
Okay, it's about this lady. She's a Cuban immigrant and like.
Oh yeah, you told me about that. Go on.
Oh, okay. So it's about and she's like the grandma.
Yeah.
And her husband died, and her daughter, his husband left her. Her husband left her.
Right.
Because he had a drinking problem and he was a soldier, so he had PTSD.
Oh, it's a comedy, is it?
It is actually.
Oh, it's a comedy. Oh, yeah, because comedy is about PTSD. Go down the storm.
And there's like loads of. It confronts like loads of racial issues and like issues about like women and. But you know what's
interesting.
Like
so as of today, the new Ricky Gervais thing came out on Netflix.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And I've watched it, and it's very, very dark, very, very tragic. It made me cry quite a lot, but also very funny. So I think dark, challenging shows can be funny, can't it?
It's not the way funny as in the way Ricky Gervais is. It finds like it separates the two and then finds a way to weave them together. Like it will have like a really serious scene, and then one of them will say
somebody will fall over.
Someone will say something funny, but it's still related to the topic, and it kind of lightens the mood a little bit. Like there was a bit they were talking about in the third season, which is the newest season, and I love it. About like the girl Elena, she got catcalled, and people were saying like really like overly sexual stuff to her, and the mum's talking about her story about how one of the guys from the camp she worked out in the war tried to like, you know, and then she was talking about how she punched him in the face and ran away.
Okay.
And I just, it made me
correct response.
The correct response.
Not in every situation. Obviously, I don't want to advocate punching people in the face and running away as a solution to most stuff. Like, if somebody's rude to you in a restaurant, you don't punch them in the face and rude away.
You just go,
yeah.
That's your opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for your opinion. I do not need to respect your opinion, but let me punch you in the face and run away. No, don't do that. No, don't do that. Children, don't punch them in the face and run away. Definitely not.
Let them punch you in the face and run away.
Do not let children punch you in the face. Number one, I'm quite tall, so I don't know if they'd be able to reach my face to punch you and run away. Yeah, they'd jump up, punch me in the groin, and then run away. I don't know. Anyway, this has gone on a bit of a weird tangent again, but I'm worried now, Charlotte, because Russell's got to do the titles to this particular show, and he has been known to pick the thing that's the most extreme. So I've got a feeling that the titles for this particular show is, this time on the Kindness Project, punching people in the groin and running away, and we interview somebody about philanthropy. It's just like, how's that going to work? I don't know. Anyway, we're going
to calm down.
We're going to calm down. Should we get serious?
Why?
I don't know. But let's ask our audience what the current question. We're throwing it to the floor. So, our audience, and I have asked some people on social media this question already. What's the best thing on Netflix ever? What's the best thing you've ever watched on Netflix? Let me know.
I've already answered this question.
Okay, fair enough.
You have not.
I haven't. Right, so what's the best thing on Netflix ever? Answer that, and where can people get in touch with us?
At All Kindness on Twitter, that thing, and then it's the Kindness Project in Facebook, and you just kind of do the typey thingy, and then you Ola at the Kindness Project.
You do the typey thingy. You do the typey thingy. Is that?
Okay, you can't be eloquent all the time.
Some of the time would be good. You do the typey thingy. Right, go on.
Our email. I think this is
do the typey thingy in your email thingy.
And you put Ola at the Kindness Project.
In your typey, on your typey thingy, in your browser thingy, on your Google thingy,
in your web thingy.
So that's how you can get in touch with us. And don't forget, Kindness Project listeners, and the one person who's now watching us on Facebook Live, it's Andrew. Hi Andrew, how are you? You can buy a Kindness Project merch at www.thekindnessproject. Charlotte's just dropped the phone at www.thekindnessproject /merch. So you can do that. So you're more than welcome to do that.
Okay, we move on?
Shall we move on with the show?
Oh, yes.
Are you ready for this week's Kindness News?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, that sounded very enthusiastic. So let me do... What edition are we?
No, I'll do it.
All right, Colin, you do it.
You do the jingle and
Kindness News.
5 acts of kindness that shaped history.
Edition.
It's not really...
It's not really an edition. History edition. That edition name was a bit long for an edition name. But let's have it. Kindness News, 5 acts of history that shaped history edition.
No, let's go history edition.
All right, history edition. What was your first act of kindness that shaped history?
A letter saves the life of Jane Austen.
Oh.
1783.
Tell me.
Sorry, I don't know that.
Apparently Alexa's never heard of Jane Austen. Alexa, have you heard of Jane Austen? No, she's ignoring me now.
I don't know that one.
No, she doesn't. She doesn't know it.
Because I said a letter.
Ah, right, okay. Okay, tell me about how Alexa saved Jane Austen. I mean, a letter saved Jane Austen.
In 1783, 7-year-old Jane Austen and her sister Cassandra were sent to Oxford to stay with one of their cousins, Jane Cooper. The girls were to be taught...
Go on, the girls were to be what? What did you say? Taught?
Tortured.
The Austen sisters were tortured. The girls were to be tortured from about 7,
No.
and mostly because they were children. And if you heard last week's Kindness News, you know what we do with children, don't we? We squeeze them like sponges and throw them right like rocks. Tutored. There's a big difference between tutored and tortured. And basically. So do you want to? Let's assume they're being tutored. So if they're being tortured.
Anne Corley, who later moved to Southampton, taking the young girls with her. While in Southampton,
With their permission, or?
they became slaves.
Oh, okay.
Cassandra and Jane became very ill with what was known as the putrid sore throat.
Is this Kindness News?
Yeah, I'm getting to it. Suggested to have been diphtheria, a potential fatal contagious bacterial infection that may...
Christ on a bike! This is Black Plague edition.
Typhoid.
Kindness News, Typhoid edition. Right, go and tell me. Kindness News, Torture edition. Right, go and tell
Jane
me.
was so ill, she nearly died.
Oh.
Miss Corley, from some inexplicable reason, made no attempt to alert her parents.
Oh. Kindness News, Child Neglect edition. Go on. But instead, what did she do?
Author Helen Amy explained how Jane Cooper took it upon herself to write and inform her aunt that Jane's life is in danger, after which Aunt Austen's mother and Mrs. Cooper set off for Southampton to rescue the girls, bringing a herbal remedy that could supposedly cure the infection.
Okay.
The Austen sisters recovered under their mother's care at home, and the three girls never returned to Miss Crawley.
No, I don't expect so.
Without her cousin's timely intervention, explains Amy, Jane Austen would have almost certainly have died, and the world would have been deprived of her outstanding talent.
I like that story. It's a very nice one. Number 2.
Meet Guyers and Associates hide Anne Frank's family from Nazi persecution. 1942 to 44. Sorry, this is a very dark way. One almost died, one was hiding Anne Frank.
Anne Frank, I think Anne Frank eventually died though, didn't she?
It was like 10 days before all the camps got liberated.
Was it? Was it really?
It was like a really short time before the camps got liberated.
But
and her dad found her
but
diary.
genuinely take it. I mean, I can't think of a kinder act than sheltering people from evil at personal risk to yourself, because that's what it is, isn't it? That's what it is. You are in a position where you're potentially gonna die by saving somebody else.
Following the rise of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party in 1933, the Jewish Frank family decided to escape to the Netherlands to flee the rapidly escalating anti-Semitism in Germany. Otto and Edith Frank, along with their daughters Margot and Anne, went into hiding in an annex above Otto's office in Amsterdam on July 6th. It says 6th of July, but it sounds better the other way around. July 6th, 1942. They were soon joined by 4 other Jews. The family was helped into hiding by a number of people who had worked for Otto Frank, including Miep Gies, I'm sorry, ancient historical man if I'm butchering your name, who had started work as an office assistant for Frank in 1933. During the 2 years and 35 days, the Frank family lived in the secret annex. Guys, along with other helpers, visited frequently with food and other supplies and shared news from the outside. Above all, the friendship and kindness shown by guys proved a lifeline for Anne, who kept a diary about her experiences and thoughts while in hiding. On August 14th, 1944, everyone in the annex was arrested. Somebody had called the German security police to notify them that Jews were hiding in the Prinzengracht 236.
Right.
The identity of the caller has never been established. Everyone in the annex was deported first to the Westbrook transit camp and then to Auschwitz in the autumn of 1944. And her sister Margot were transported to Bergen-Belsen, a concentration camp in Germany where almost 4,000 Jews, primarily Dutch, were imprisoned.
Yep.
They're facing unsanitary conditions and having no food. The girls contracted typhus. They both died in March 1945, just a few weeks before the camp was liberated.
Yeah. But the act of kindness of sheltering somebody that you know that you could potentially get killed for is a brave one, isn't it? I think it's a massively brave one. What's your third story?
Elizabeth Fry visits Newgate Gaol, 1813. Until May 2017, British social reformer Elizabeth Fry was commemorated on the UK's £5 note, later replaced by Winston Churchill, for her most famous philanthropic project, reform of the female side of Newgate Gaol. Elizabeth Fry was born into a wealthy Quaker family and later married London merchant Joseph Fry, with whom she had 11 children. By the early 19th century, Fry had already turned her attention to the plight of the poor, distributing aid and establishing a successful Sunday school for children. When the family moved to East Ham in 1809...
East Ham, it's a local one as well.
Fry co-funded a school for poor girls and organised a smallpox vaccination programme for the children in the surrounding villages.
Okay.
Fry's notable prison reform wasn't sparked until 1813, when she visited Newgate Gaol to distribute clothing to female prisoners after a Quaker missionary named Stephen Grallett had alerted her to their plight. Fry was appalled at the conditions and was most affected by the sight of two women taking the clothes from a dead baby to dress a living one.
Oh.
When Fry returned in 1816, little had changed. The women she wrote were wild beasts, often drunk, disorderly and even violent. Elizabeth now launched into action. She organised a school for the children and appointed a matron to watch over the prisoners. She also found useful work, sewing and knitting for the women, and formed the Ladies' Newgate Association, the members of which would visit the prison daily to superintendent the matron, give religious instructions and mentor the prisoners. New rules were laid down, forbidding begging, swearing, gaming, card playing, quarrelling, immoral conversation and improper books. The prisoners voluntarily submitted, and Elizabeth won the support of the gaol and the city authorities. Fry's prison work later won public recognition through the foundation of the Elizabeth Fry Refuge for released female prisoners in 1849.
And you know what? There used to be a school in East London, in Plaistow, called Elizabeth Fry, that was named after her because she was such a powerful influence in her time. What's the fourth one?
Harriet Tubman rescues at least 300 people from slavery.
Okay.
Oh God. 1850.
Well, you're not pleased about that.
69.
Harriet Tubman saves 300 people from slavery. Oh God.
No, I was trying to figure out what this C meant, and it just means that they don't know approximately what year it is. 1850 to 61.
Okay.
Born Araminta Minty Ross in Maryland, USA.
I love that name. Araminty Ross.
Araminta, Minty is a nickname.
All right.
Araminta Ross in Maryland, USA in 1822. The woman now known as Harriet Tubman was born into an enslaved family who were all owned by the Broles family. At this time, in certain American states, enslaved people were considered property with no rights of their own, and their well-being was usually only considered important in terms of productivity. From the age of 5, Minty was put to work. She was often loaned away from home to neighbouring families who mistreated her, and by the age of 12 she had graduated to back-breaking work in the fields. In 1849, in her late 20s, Minty fled alone to Pennsylvania, the neighbouring Free State. No one knows her exact route, but during her escape, Minty likely used part of the Underground Railroad, a secret network of slaves and abolitionist sympathisers for the first time. On the railroad, so-called conductors guided fugitive slaves between hiding places or stations toward freedom in the north. It was around this time that Minty changed her name to Harriet, likely to cover her escape. When she arrived in Philadelphia, Tubman soon found domestic work and made abolitionist friends. However, she was not completely safe. Slave catchers operated in the area, and just a year after she arrived...
It just seems like a different world, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. The Fugitive Slave Act of 1850 obliged local commissioners to return runaways to their owners. There were now harsh penalties for those who aided escapees. Yet over the next 11 years, Tubman made as many as 19 trips to rescue approximately 70 slaves, including almost all her remaining family from Maryland's eastern shore. She also delivered to many others detailed instructions on how to escape. She is often estimated to have helped over at least 300 people from slavery.
Love it. Good old Tubbers. That's my nickname for Harriet Tubman.
Right. Luz Long advises Jesse Owens on his run-up.
Who?
1936.
Louis.
Oh, it just says Luz Long.
Luz Long. This is full of great historical names, isn't it? Luz Long. Tubbers. Luzzy.
Okay, it's often...
Fry up. That's what I call Elizabeth Fry. Frank Converter. Go on, tell me about Luz Long.
It is often claimed that Jesse Owens, American four-time gold medalist at the 1936 at the Berlin Olympics.
Yeah, that was the one where he won the 100 metres in front of Hitler.
Was deliberately snubbed by Adolf Hitler, who refused to shake his hand. Though Albert Speer, Germany's war armaments minister, recalled that Hitler was highly annoyed by Owens' series of victories.
Yeah.
In fact, Hitler had chosen to shake hands only with German competitors and only on the first day of the Olympics, and had not deliberately refused Owens' hand. Owen perhaps would never even have won one of his gold medals if it wasn't for the kindness from a fellow athlete, German long jumper Karl Ludwig Luz Long.
Now, Luz Long for a long jumper is a bit of an amazing name, isn't it?
On the 4th of August 1936, in the qualifying round of the long jump, the world record holder Owens had already foot-faulted twice in his bid to compete in the event's final. Long, the European record holder, offered Owens advice on how to adjust his run-up to make the qualifying distance.
Love it.
Long suggested that as the qualifying distance was only 7.15 and that Owens could jump more than 8 metres, Owens should shift his mark back to ensure that he took off well short off the board and remained clear of another foul. Owens' next jump was a success, and he went to win the gold medal with a jump of 8.6.
Amazing.
8.06, with Long earning silver. Owens later wrote of the 1936 Olympics. What I remember most was the friendship I struck with Luz Long. He was my strongest rival, yet it was he who advised me to adjust my run-up in the qualifying round.
You know what? That is proper sportsman conduct, isn't it? Being kind, being fair, helping somebody out, even though you may lose out on an Olympic gold medal, just giving somebody your support like that, and in a country where the political pressure was not to help people like that.
Owens' long jump world record stood for 25 years, and his performance during the games is widely regarded as a blow-off to...
A blow-off?
A blow to Adolf Hitler's intention to use...
A blow-off to Hitler?
a blow to Hitler.
What did Jesse Owens do to Hitler? Gave him a blow-off?
Regarded as a blow to Adolf Hitler's intentions to use the Olympics to demonstrate Aryan superiority.
That was true, because Hitler wanted to pretend that his perspective was correct in terms of the superiority of the Aryan race, and in reality, Jesse Owens cast a huge doubt over that, clearly, because he won so much. He did amazing stuff. Yeah, that was really good. Is that your last one?
That's my last one.
Cool, that was a really good historical overview of kindness. This week, Charlotte, we're actually interviewing...
Drum roll, please.
We're actually interviewing Marcus Thomlinson, and Marcus is going to talk to us about mindset and having a positive, kind and helpful mindset. Would you like to listen to the first part of Marcus's interview?
Yes.
Okay. So today I'm joined by Marcus. Marcus, how are you?
I'm fantastic, thank you very much.
Amazing. And can I just say, just before we start with the questions, doing a bit of research for this interview, and obviously we know each other already, but I love your video on your website with the fire breathing at the end. It's amazing. Could you teach me how to do that so I can, for my little financial planning business, I can do some fire breathing videos? I'd love that.
I can teach you in 10 minutes. It's so much easier than you think.
Gotcha.
Like anything, it's once you know how.
Yeah.
The trick is in the knowledge.
Yeah, I've got a parachute jump this year, so my mental focus is on making sure that I don't fly up and just say take me back down. But I think fire breathing is definitely on the list at some point. Yeah, definitely.
You and the team.
We do the team, yeah, we do the team. But what I wanted to do today, as you know, Kindness Project is all about talking about people doing awesome stuff in the world, and we've been really lucky to talk to a wide range of people, all doing great stuff. But I think sometimes we focus so much on helping other people, we lose the focus on actually sometimes you need to be a bit kinder to yourself. And that's what I want to talk about today. How can you, as an individual, just be a bit kinder to yourself, just to make sure that you can be kinder to other people? So before we start that, tell me a little bit about you.
Okay, so I started my working life, not a clue what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So many people, did lots of stuff while I was still at school with my stepfather, bimbled around until I eventually fell by accident into financial services.
Okay.
When I was about 20 and stayed there for 20 years.
Okay.
Which is, like many jobs, it was great in some ways, challenging in others. And what was kind of interesting about that was I was successful. It was quite easy in the late 80s and 90s to make money. I was one of the first to buy into the whole fee thing. I was a bit of choice, and I was a bit uncomfortable with some of all the fees that were sloshing around. I thought people should have a good value. But I did really well. I was building my practice up. But I suffered from something I now call small businessman syndrome.
Okay.
And it was where I couldn't let anything go. So I built the business up from nothing. I was marketing, sales, T-boy, absolutely everything. And I really didn't want to give anything away. Yeah. Because I had this false illusion that it wasn't so much anyone could do it as well as I could. I mean, I knew people were better at stuff than I, but did they have the same passion and commitment and all this sort of stuff? And I started to get a bit confused and stressed. Okay. I didn't call it stress then. So in the year 2000, I was shattered. I was working a lot. I was a rugby playing financial services guy from the north. Okay. So picture that, if you will. The amount of alcohol that was consumed was phenomenal. Then working all the hours, kind of burning the candle at both ends, and went to the doctor and said, "What's wrong with me?" And he kind of looked at me as if I was daft and said, "Actually, I'm going to officially diagnose you as being stressed." Okay. And I sat there. This isn't a great podcast, but I sort of clenched my fist and denied that I am not stressed. Yeah. And he did that marvellous thing that doctors do. He kind of just looked over the top of his glasses at me and didn't say a word. I thought, oh, okay then, right. So I thought, if I've got this thing, and I think it's helpful for people to maybe hear this, that at the time, my opinion was pretty poor. I thought stress was for weak-minded people. Gotcha. It was an excuse for being lazy. Yeah. So that hit me hard. Luckily, I was referred to the practice psychologist, I think he was called, and he talked to me about relaxation and taking time for yourself. Yeah. Some nonsense called meditation, and none of that fitted in my world. Yeah. Anyway, something said, look, just take some advice for once in your life. You spend your life giving advice, and take some. And I started to study it. And part of that journey helped me understand how the brain worked. Okay. It took me into studying psychology. Yeah. It took me into going on all sorts of coaching courses. And I had a series of these eureka moments of, why didn't anyone tell me? Okay. Yeah. It was fascinating. So,
you know what's interesting? I think it's probably changing slowly, but there's an element of, I don't know, masculine bravado that says you can't admit if you've got a mental health problem. Yeah. And actually, how many people out there, because they fear to admit they've got a problem, suffer in silence? I mean, it's a huge issue.
Yeah, I didn't tell anyone.
Yeah. I just said, even after you were studying and learning.
Oh, later on, yeah, but at the time. Yeah. So this was, I'm going about 18 years ago, and of course, stress certainly wasn't anything like the or mental health wasn't talked about
Yeah.
in those days. So I didn't tell my close friends
Yeah.
for probably 3 or 4 years.
Gotcha. Yeah. What were you afraid of?
Inadequacy, the fact that it would question my masculinity.
Yeah.
That would I had this,
Perception. Yeah.
perception that before I massively changed my mindset, that people would judge me on the fact that I'd been ill, therefore I wasn't capable.
Yeah, gotcha.
Of stuff.
Yeah.
Of course, not knowing that pretty much everyone I knew was suffering through the same thing. It's a whole self-image, and I'm running the wrong instructions in my head.
Gotcha.
Instead of everyone supporting me, which was what they did, and were brilliant, they would somehow think less of me.
Yeah. It's interesting when you have those sort of conversations and you start having people go, that's how I feel as well, when it just changes that discussion and the frame of doing it. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I go so far now as to say pretty much everyone I've ever met and still meet has a level of madness. It's just what level.
Yeah.
Is on the spectrum.
Yeah.
Just a question of where.
Yeah.
It's something that we become aware of.
Yeah.
Our mental health.
Yeah.
There's stuff going on in this magnificent brain.
Yeah.
And how we're kind of interpreting that is absolutely fascinating.
But I think the interesting thing for me is the assumption that that element of madness or being on the spectrum can't be harnessed to do stuff that other people aren't capable of. I mean, when they talk about autism and look at that as a disability, I'm not convinced that often it is, because actually those individuals are highly skilled in certain areas, and it's society's job to say, well, where do you fit? Where can you help? But yeah, it's interesting. So you went through that journey.
Yep.
You loads of reading, loads of coaching, loads of study. Where did you learn to coach?
Well, the first phase was me being coached.
Yep.
So my first foray was a guy called Jack Black.
Okay.
An amazing guy, not the comedian.
I was going to say, did you go to the school of coaching rock? I know you were a musician.
Yeah, no, that's what I do now. Rename it. I like that, the rock school of coaching.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the first. I went to kind of a one-day seminar with a friend of mine, and what was fascinating, it was as if he was talking just to me.
Yeah.
And of course, everyone in the room felt, and I was just sort of frustrated, thinking, why doesn't everyone know this? Why has no one said this to me before?
Yeah.
Because it was opening up so many possibilities of different ways of thinking. So then I then kind of really immersed myself in all this stuff. Did the Tony Robbins thing, which you've heard of. Got hold of some Zig Ziglar stuff. Coveney, Brian Tracy, over a period of years. And eventually when I grew, this might be helpful, using all these new techniques, I went from having one office to 5 offices around the country.
Okay.
And that was with some strategic partnerships we set up.
Yeah.
So I was able to completely change what was going on. And then I had to decide in 2006, where do I want to stay? Do I want to stay in financial services? Do I want to move into this arena? There were lots of also personal things going on.
Yeah.
And so I took a couple of years out.
Okay.
And made some drastic life changes. I don't think I've got enough time to... Well, I think, no, it's relevant. I took a year off, and I kind of felt I had to give everything away.
Okay.
Because I was also on this spiritual journey, and for some reason, and let me say, you do not need to do this.
Okay.
Let me be really clear about that. That I spent everything I'd ever earned on wine, women, and song.
Okay.
George Best, I had a rock and roll year.
Yeah.
Genuinely, just to try and decide who I really wanted to be, which was the best and worst of times.
Yeah.
And then completely restarted.
Okay.
And when I mean completely, I was £10 in my pocket,
Right.
0 assets. And I think it's just relevant to the story.
Yeah.
I then dusted myself off and said, right, I'm going to reinvent myself in this world of positivity, and looked up and said, I need a job and a car, because I didn't even have a car at that time. Within 2 weeks, and I kind of looked up at the universe, sent the vibes out, and within 4 days, I got a phone call from a friend of mine.
Okay.
And what it was about, he said, can you bring those lights back? And these were stage lights that we've been using. And I said, you may not remember. I don't have a car at the moment. Sorry, I can't get them back to you. Any chance you could pick them up? And he said, you haven't got a car? He said, well, what are you up to? I said, well, as you know, I kind of took a year out, bit of consultant to help them grow their business and do some coaching.
Yeah.
I'm retraining. And he said, "Oh, brilliant! Can you help me?
Okay.
Can you sort my business out?"
Right.
And it was kind of a coaching. Sorry, not coaching. It was a recording studio all about music.
Yeah.
TV, film, video.
So a proper busman's holiday for you, right? You know, it must, yeah.
But the second part of that, which is so important to have the positivity and being good to yourself stuff, was I said, "Oh, that's absolutely brilliant, but I've got to sort a car out." He said, "Oh, well, I've got one sat on the drive.
Yeah.
Car. It's doing nothing. Would you mind using that?"
Gotcha.
And within 4 days of sending it out to the universe.
But so it's really interesting. I struggle with the spiritual side.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm an atheist. I struggle with that sort of asking the universe, but I get that there's a mental side to that as well, right? And sometimes just putting your hand up and going, look. The easiest thing might have been just to turn around and go, "No, I can't help you," and not show a bit of weakness and say, "I can't because I haven't got a car and I'm just starting out." So I think there's a real benefit in just putting your hand up and asking for help.
It's being honesty, and it's interesting how we process that about rebirths. And I was comfortable. I'd gone through rebirths, too strong a word, but I really I had to go to certain places. Drinking and partying too much to almost say, this is not who I want to be.
Yeah.
And to be able to stand up and say, I was very focused at that time. Even
Okay.
I had nothing. This was the thing. I also had absolutely everything within me.
Yeah.
And I was thoroughly engaged about the process of the power of positive thinking.
Yeah.
Create your own look.
Yeah.
So I was very comfortable at that point saying, this is where I am now. And he was able to give me that help.
Yeah.
And I still say to him from time to time, you were one of my life turning points.
Yeah.
Because that opportunity springboarded me onto other stuff.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love that.
I haven't answered your question about how did I train my coaching. So, but that was something that's really helpful to say, no matter where you are or what challenging situation you're in, you can turn it around.
Yeah.
We'll maybe talk later about the fabulous place I've been able to, through working with other people, get to.
Yeah.
I chose to get my felt, because I've been in financial services like you.
Yeah.
I had all of the qualifications.
Yeah.
Very, very, quality and process.
Yeah.
So I had to have a certificate or two, and I went to the Institute of Counsel. I started my psychology degree at Leeds Met.
Okay.
And then I also went to the Institute of Counselling because they were the only coaching course in the UK at the time which had UCAS credits.
Okay.
So they actually counted towards
A university.
qualification. All the others were, it was sort of kind of early days.
Yeah.
And even just a word to anyone thinking about getting into coaching, there's a lot of coaching courses out there that maybe aren't what they seem to be.
Yeah.
So and that was really good because it was a really sort of helpful way of putting into practice what I've done with my clients.
Yeah.
Because you do this every day with your clients.
Yeah.
Finding out what their needs are, their desires are, their hopes, their dreams, their aspirations financially. And it's a very similar process.
Yeah.
So it helped me put that in a way which was good for other people. And let's face it, it was taking me on that journey as well.
Because you've got to ask those questions of yourself, haven't you, to get there. So went through the coaching process, and we sit here today with you running a business called the Mindset Revolution. Help me understand a little bit about that.
Vive the revolution!
Have I got to wear a beret, Marcus? Because berets don't really suit me. I'm not a hat bloke. You know what? The kids. My fifth, Charlotte, who hosts the podcast with me, loves a hat, and then every time I put a hat on, it doesn't suit me. Are you a hat wearer?
Oh God, no. I would love to wear hats because you can't see me on balls as a coot. I've been for 25 years. There's one hat that suits me. You can never do it proper full-on size Panama.
Gotcha.
It's the only hat that looks vaguely okay on me. Beanie hat's all right.
Yeah.
With the beret, I was in the Army Cadets as a kid, and I can rock a beret.
Yeah.
I might have to bring that back in as the...
To be frank, to be perfectly frank, and this wasn't a pun, I get a bit Frank Spencer with the beret. Do you know what I mean? It goes all wrong, so I don't...
There's ways to
Yeah, maybe we should have a future podcast on how to wear a beret. I don't know what it would do to do with kindness, but we could give it a go. So tell us a little bit about the Mindset Revolution.
So when I was lucky enough to do sort of, we'll call it more consultancy and management consultancy with sort of coaching edge to it.
So a business coach element,
So I would go and work for, say, can work for you for 6 months. And try and help you turn around. That was the approach I did. Did a few contracts. And I was practicing coaching kind of casually on the side with one-to-one clients to hone my skills and get into it.
And I imagine it helps from a business perspective as well, because the mindset of the business owner has a influence, right?
Mindset's everything. And we'll come to that, because I didn't start off calling it the Mindset Revolution. So I did this for a few years until I was kind of a global coach for a financial services company and kind of honing my skills. And then I said, 3 years ago, I'm going to go properly on my own. So I'd had a business running in tandem, doing some casual coaching. Fabulous results. And originally it was called Liberalis.
Okay.
Now, with good intention, but looking back, I cringe at the name. And the reason I chose that is the literal translation, it's Greek, and it means generosity of spirit. And therefore, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted me and other people to be generous of spirit about helping people. But then it kind of wasn't really, it didn't speak to me, it wasn't me. And I'd recently moved to London and came up with the name Black Sheep Revolution because there was some tenuous links to Black Sheep Brewery through my Paul Thigson, who founded that, is my brother's godfather. Revolution, I absolutely want to change have a revolution in the way we think because of our attitudes to stress are still so poor in this country. But the whole black sheep thing was good for some people, and all they ever talked about was mindset. So these are very long answers to your questions. However, then somebody I'm working with now, Alex Thackeray, turned around to me and said, I love what you do, I want to be part of your revolution, but I don't want to be a black sheep. And all you ever talk about is mindset. And I just sat there and said, it should be the mindset revolution.
But it's that rebellious part of your personality, isn't it? It's that element where you want to go, I want to buck the trend. And I think there's nothing wrong with that, because there's an element of doing things differently that will hopefully help people make positive change.
I think so, because I was that person who was at school. I was inquisitive, but I got shut down for my inquisitive. Inquisitive. I was sent out because I was told, many times I was sent out, because my inquiring mind of genuinely not understanding was seen as being unruly.
It's interesting. It's interesting because I think even now, and I think it is changing, the education system is designed to educate people for factory work, isn't it? You know, it's an industrialised system, and I'm not sure.
Exercising conformity.
And I'm not sure whether moving forward to the future that's going to be as effective, because the world's changing.
It's got to change. I mean, you look at. I'm not an expert on this, but we always talk about Norway and Denmark. But we have people that make up. Sometimes we say 4 personality types, 6, 8. We are nuanced. There are creatives. People are creative and somehow they look down upon. Yet they're the what do we all love? Music.
Film and art and writing.
When we have our leisure time. You don't go and spend more time coaching them.
But you know what's interesting, and one of my favourite interviews we've ever done for the Kindness Project is a guy called Hans. And I don't know if I've told you about him before, but he invented an app called Be My Eyes, which is effectively an app for blind people who if they needed a letter read or they wanted to see what shirt was blue, they could just ask for a volunteer on the app. Somebody jumps on, they use their camera phone, and the volunteer says, this letter says this, or the left shirt is blue and that's the one you want, and just help them with day-to-day stuff around the house. And they've got about 3 million users now. Amazing guy, super cool Danish guy, and I said, well, look, how did it all start? So you had this idea. How did you get it to fruition? He said, well, I didn't know anything about coding or apps or anything like that. And I lived in Copenhagen, and there was a coding exhibition, and he said, I thought I'd go along because I might meet some people there who might be able to help me with this app. And it was €50 and they were giving free beer. So the worst that could happen was I'd have a really good day out drinking beer for €50 and I might meet somebody I might not. And that chance, like finding this thing, and led to this voluntary service being available around the world that helps millions of people. Now, I think often if you were following conventional rules, he wouldn't have gone to that place. He would have just said, well, that place isn't for me. And opening your mind to those sort of experiences. So I think hearing stories like that,
That's a fantastic app. We've not talked about that, and I just think that's incredible.
Yeah.
Very much so, breaking away from convention is, if I hadn't done that, I would be probably doing exactly what I was doing.
Yeah, stressed.
I'm certainly stressed, and have a different type of stress. Yeah. And being able to just sort of do something a little bit different is just so liberating. It doesn't have to be anarchic. It just has to be, stop doing the same things over and over again. We pushed and pushed to repeat. Because I'm being political, but look at the system out there at the moment is wants everyone to conform to someone else's way of thinking.
I know.
That's the big trick. One of the things, to kind of focus on the question again, was why the mindset revolution is. Mindset is everything. It changes fundamentally who you are. What you're thinking right now influences how you act, how you think, how you feel, what you do, how you value yourself, whether it's business, whether it's personal. And so to shake that up and say, I do not accept what's gone before, and I can change it, I will change it.
And to a certain extent, your mindset is defined by the inputs into your psyche, right? So if you change some of the inputs and take fresh ideas or meet new people, that can have a big impact. Talk to me a bit practically about what you do. So Mindset Revolution is the business. Your reason for being is to help people have a more positive mindset. But how does that manifest itself more practically?
What I've developed now, and I think it's helpful to have a bit of a track to run on, is something called the 7 key mindsets.
Okay.
So let's say people recognise this. Many people doubt themselves, have a lack of confidence. Can I do this? Or I only fit. I'm only allowed to be this sort of person. Many people, if they're trying something new, will frequently procrastinate. People will put it off until tomorrow, and some people get very nervous about change, and that's where the stress comes in. So the practical thing I thought was, let me share my journey with you. My journey is pretty much everyone else I've ever met, because it's that journey of the mind and what enabled me to make some consistent changes. If you then keep following that path, it might have the same benefits for you. So the 7 key mindsets are, and again, before I go to it, there's thousands of mindsets, but these for me, keep focus, be specific. The first one is the conscious mindset. And that's simply understanding you have choice. You are not defined. The Romans used to say, give me the boy till he's 7 and I'll give you the man. Sadly, in those days they didn't say about the girl, it's the person. The people we bought into that. Most people in their lives will have formed their strongest opinions and not want to change them. The great news is you can change that program. Absolutely. Make your version, your reality different from what you think you have to settle for. So being conscious of that is the first one. So we take people through a couple of little exercises in hopefully a humorous way to say, let's look at it from a different angle, and actually we can shake up your thinking. You have the choice. And I'm going to any more detail about that. The second mindset, and to me this is one of the most important, is called the calm mindset. This is about understanding, recognising and managing stress. And we talk about it, but in its simplest form, what is stress? And it's based on the fight or flight response. Which we know.
It's evolutionary, isn't it?
It is, And it ties in, unfortunately, you are designed to look for the negative stuff in life. We're designed to be fearful. What's the threat in the dark? Yeah. So our core programming is saying, what's out to get me? Because we transpose that into everyday life as worries about who we are, what we're capable of. So it's designed with great intent to either fight the tiger or run away from it. But in modern day, that's your boss shouting at you, or an argument with your partner, or thinking about something you should have done you haven't. So we sort of break it down to how the physiology of the body works, how you're actually poisoning your body by accident through the power of your mind. And then once you know that, you go, oh, really? How can I change it? Well, here you go. Here's a load of ways to respond, not react. Is a great thing. Anyone listening now, take a breath and respond to a situation. Don't react. A great way of remembering that is, Chris is not so well. I'm going to give him some drugs to make him better, some medicine. Oh, he's reacting to that. That's not good. Oh, he's responding. He's getting better. And have that with you every day in your life. And take time. It's all about mindfulness and meditation. And maybe touch on that a bit more if we've got time. So that's the calm mindset. Number 3 is love, the love mindset. Okay. Which is hugely important today. It's about what's our self-image? Do we actually like who we are? Do we develop to, do you know what, I'm okay. And it's not about selfish or narcissism. It's about saying, the way that I interact with other people around me, the values I have are good for other people as well as for me. And that's one of the keys which you'll be stunned. I was in a fairly senior boardroom situation with a few CEOs not so long ago, and we were all talking about this whole concept. I did a little presentation, and what was fabulous, this person earns a couple £100,000 a year. Really, you would think that this person is really sorted if you saw them from the outside. He said, this love mindset. I said, I need that. I just can't. I don't like myself a lot. I'm not entirely sure why. And almost like dominoes, everyone around the table. Me too. And there was this opening up of people who you would think were super successful. Kind of are from a financial status point of view. But actually have the same fears, aspirations.
I mean, it's interesting because I think, and I'm having this conversation quite a lot. What defines success? And I think success is about happiness. I think success fundamentally, and again, I'm not saying money doesn't play a part in that, and certainly part of the conversations we have with clients is about how do we link those two things. But you don't focus on the money, you focus on what do we need to make sure that you're happy. I think sometimes as well, especially with bigger businesses, is the perception of success is different from the reality. And it's interesting how it was quite a brave move of him to put his hand up actually and say,
I was surprised. And I was also surprised that other people go around the room and do it. And this happens in...
Sign of an open-minded organisation though, right?
Open mind is fantastic. These were from different organisations. So it was even more surprising. They were all key players in some fairly punchy organisations. And it was interesting because the guy who invited me to do the talk, he said, this one of the guys is big into his neuroscience and something else. And he says, you do know your stuff, don't you? I think I do. And then when this moment happened in the meeting, I just saw him look up with a big smile and begin.
Amazing.
Moment in time. But you're right. Happiness, knowing you've won in life sometimes. Because unfortunately, I think so many are pushed to measure success by stuff. By wealth and by status and where we achieve. But actually, it's hang on a minute. What is it that makes you just sit back and go, I'm feeling really good about something? Now,
how important do you think gratefulness is in that?
I think, on the conscious mindset, the first task you get to do is to start journaling 3 things you're grateful for.
Yeah, I love it. Love it.
First task we do. For 2 reasons. One, it's to recognise what you've got, what you haven't. But also to just start that positivity flow into your mindset.
Yeah.
And this is, you'll see the common theme in this. And being grateful, because the brain is a weird thing. So whilst it's the most magnificent in the universe, it kinds to help you get what you focus on the most.
Okay, yeah.
So if you're focusing what you haven't got, what you can't do, what's not there, the brain goes, no problem, I'm going to help you with that. I'm going to find other stuff to help you be unhappy, uncomfortable, or feel anxious.
Yeah.
If you then feed it gratitude and ask it to look around at what you have got, look up at what's great in your day, great in your life, the brain goes, oh, you want good stuff?
Yeah.
Is that what you're focusing on?
Yeah.
Not a problem, my friend, I will help you get there.
Yeah.
And that's key.
And this is the reason we started, Charlotte and I started the Kindness Project is not only because I wanted something we could work on together as she became a teenager and I thought she might never speak to me again. She still does, funny enough, we still get on quite well. But also, we were both just looking at each other going, how do we get positive news in our lives? And part of that was just creating it ourselves by speaking to positive, interesting people. So I love that.
Yeah, surrounding yourself with
Yeah.
in any book that you ever read about how to improve your life, your feelings, surround yourself with positive people.
Yeah.
That's I'll list the others and then we'll see how much time we'll talk about them. So we've got the goal mindset, storyboard mindset, the vision mindset, and the meta mindset, and they're like a Billy Connolly or a Ronnie Corbett joke. You know, they're all elements of the same story.
Yeah.
They all tie up in the end.
Gotcha.
Which is all about positivity, looking after yourself, filling yourself with what you can do, what you can't do. So gratitude is essential.
Yeah.
Goal mindset, by the way, is everyone I've ever met, including me, has been taught to set goals the wrong way. I think, I say everyone, 99% of people, always the exception to the rule, because I think it ties in with gratitude, that we're usually setting goals for other people. So when you're growing up, well-meaning people give you
targets. Yeah.
Targets, and so you tend to think, I've got to have that house, that car, that job, that partner, whatever it might be. When actually you might have a whole different set of rules or genuine aspirations and desires. So one of the keys that most people miss out for me is, does it go with the head and the heart?
Yeah.
Is it a combined goal?
Yeah.
Smile. And I love sitting with clients in the early stages and I'll say, give me your goals. Not all of them have goals, but those that have. And they'll list some sort of stuff. And they'll get to goal 3 or 4 and all of a sudden they'll tell me about something which is probably not business related and their eyes light up.
Yeah.
They just shine. And I look at them going, well, that's the first proper goal.
Because that's your one, right? That's your one, not somebody else's.
Their goal.
Yeah.
So the chances of achieving that. Now, we have little goals of stuff we have to do in life.
Yeah.
And that's fine, and we should do that. We call it smart goals, but it's just fascinating to see that moment.
Yeah.
And people often, they bring the goals down a little bit because everyone goes, oh, you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You're punching above your weight there, aren't you, and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah. Big, hairy, audacious goals. Yeah.
Storyboard, I know you want to talk about this later. The storyboard mindset is probably one of the most powerful. So for anyone who doesn't know, storyboard is if you're writing a book or a film or a play, you get
map it out.
And create the story. And here's the thing. Anyone listening to this right now has a version of who they are, the story they tell themselves, of what they're capable of, what they're not capable of, where they fit, what their life's been. Often not what it's going to be, and often that can involve a lot of negative talk.
Okay.
And unfortunately, your mind is always listening.
Yeah.
So if your story isn't great, if you're not telling magnificent stories about who you are and who you've been, change it.
Yeah.
There's no magic formula, it's just change it.
Yeah.
Write the new story. Who does the new you look like? What does that person, if you were, stepping back, who do you admire? Who's your inspiration, your superhero, who's your Superman? It's all related to what would Superman do. Because if you haven't written the story and created your future, your brain doesn't know how to get you there. And that ties into the vision mindset. And interrupt me any time because I'll talk for a week on this stuff. The vision mindset is all about visualising that to create, now the example is mini YouTube clips of exactly how you look, sound, feel. And there's two brilliant stories about this. One, we were talking before we went on air about Frank Bruno. And he was inspired by Muhammad Ali, who created something called Future History. And what he used to do was, just before he was going out for his fight, he'd throw everyone out of the room, he'd sit on the edge of his massage table, he'd close his eyes, and he'd visualise the end of the fight as if it was on film. And he'd hear the crowd going, Ali, Ali, Ali. He'd feel the sweat and the smell of all of the, how he was after his effort. He'd see all the flashes from the cameras. In those days, it was Harry Carpenter would come out and go, that was for Frank or whoever, and he'd imagine the interview. So he created this vision, and he went out there and made his vision a reality. Every sports person I've ever heard interview, every successful athlete or actor or business person does that, uses a visualisation.
What does the future look like, and what do I need to do to get there?
Unless your brain's got that cue, unless it knows what's next, what do you want from me, it doesn't know how to take you. It's almost like you've got this other person inside you. I have a bit of a cheesy name, but I call the brain the Swiss genie. And the reason it's Swiss is it's completely neutral. It doesn't really have an opinion about what you need. Whether you're giving it good or bad instructions, it's going to help you, and it's going to grant you any wish you make of it, as long as you're really clear and specific. So if you constantly wish for bad stuff, the brain thinks that's what you want, and it will do everything in its power to get you there. Equally, if you give it good, positive, clear instructions about the new version of you and what you want to aspire to, then it'll go, I'm with you, I'm here. I'm going to do everything I can to get it.
It's not always that easy, is it, though? Because you have got elements of everybody's brain that puts doubts in your head, and so I want to ask my next question, but I want to talk a little bit about that, and just talk about some of the challenges people face to get them to that positive mindset. But we talked a little bit, and I want to talk a bit more detail about being kind to yourself. The gratitude thing is big, right? So if you're going to be kinder to yourself, just be grateful for where you sit today. But what practical steps can people then take to be a bit kinder?
There are 2 or 3 key things that I suggest are helpful for most people. Firstly, just imagine it's somebody else. Now, the way we treat ourselves and the way we treat other people can be very different. So if someone, let's just say, wasn't feeling great and wasn't good,
what advice would you give them? That's a great tip. I love that.
You give them.
Are
you taking that advice? Most of us don't. So, and then what are the things we say most of the time are good and beneficial for us? So, what we all say, your health is the most important thing. If you haven't got your health, you haven't got anything. So, are you being healthy? What's your diet like? Are you taking exercise? Because most of us don't.
And you'd recommend it to other people, wouldn't you?
If you had a friend who was upset, maybe unhealthy or carrying more weight, would you say ignore your health, eat what you like, and don't bother exercising? Of course you wouldn't. So just step back and go, hang on a minute, am I taking the advice that's good for me? So give yourself the best opportunity of feeling better, back to loving yourself. Take that bit of advice. And the other thing, I think is maybe 2 things are, what rules and kind of standards are you running through your mind every day? So unfortunately we have all of this imagery through Facebook, Twitter, of people who think that they should look a certain way or be a certain way because the media tells you about how you should be. Now, most of us, if you've noticed, are not.
Yeah.
Airbrushed.
Yeah.
That's the sad thing, is that what we see is generally not even real.
Yeah.
So we're constantly comparing ourselves to imagery which is not relevant to real life.
Agreed. Yeah.
So perhaps just adjust your rules to say, what do you want?
Yeah.
Well, if you look around the people you know where you are
Yeah.
in your everyday life, what actually is a realistic set of rules
Yeah.
that you can build on for now and then aspire to other stuff later?
So I had this conversation Saturday night, funny enough, and we were talking about, I was in a pub, and we were talking about what we perceive as important compared to the reality of it. So I was talking to this lady. I go to the gym with her. So we had a charity training session at the gym, and they had a bit of a social after, so I went along. And we were talking about her relationship with her husband. And we spoke about kids. We spoke about the fact that they're getting this perception of the superficial stuff's important. So the way you look, what you're wearing, all of that sort of stuff. So that was the first part of Marcus's interview. What did you think?
Cool.
Cool? Okay.
I'm trying out new vocabulary.
All right, okay, fair enough.
It's the end!
It is the end, but the end is never really the end, is it? The end is only the start of the end, because we have got to answer last week's question of the podcast this week.
Yeah.
And you thought that this particular question of the podcast wasn't going to get any response. But guess what?
What?
The most popular question of the podcast we've ever had.
But I can never decide what show's my favourite.
You're obviously in the minority, because we had a decent number of responses.
Let's
would
have
you
a
like
look
me to
at
share
these.
them? So, would you like to read them out?
Stu Morrison, Breaking Bad, The Umbrella Academy, and Kimmy Schmidt.
Kimmy Schmidt is amazing.
I've seen
Can
zero
you
of them.
remind our listeners what the question of the podcast was?
Oh, what's the best thing you've ever watched on Netflix?
Okay, so Stu Morrison said Breaking Bad, The Umbrella Academy, and Kimmy Schmidt.
That's not one though.
Richard Earl said nothing because he's never seen Netflix. There are people out there who haven't got Netflix. Matthew Warren said he saw a Taylor Swift concert on Netflix. Now, I know Matt. I didn't think Matt was a particularly militant Taylor Swift fan, but yeah, you get surprised. Sharon Adkins loved Making a Murderer. I loved Making a Murderer.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen Making a Murderer? It's amazing, really good. Tamsin Kane said Suits and Sex Education.
Oh, Sex Education.
Tamsin Kane's a friend of the show, and we are interviewing one of her friends very, very soon, and I'll tell you a bit more.
I need a second season of Sex Education. It's such a good show.
Okay, Daniel Sewell said Wonder. Now, I've read the book Wonder. The book is amazing.
I'm going to wait till I read the book to watch the movie.
And then Selena Hobson said Peaky Blinders. She loves a bit of Peaky Blinders. Russell Dane said an Eileen Wuornos documentary, very interesting, but for my streaming I prefer Prime Video. He's an Amazon man.
See,
I wonder if he's an Amazon Jungle man or an Amazon Tilbury Warehouse man. I don't know.
There is one show on Prime I like called The Marvellous Mrs. Maisel.
What's that about?
It's about this woman and her husband cheats on her.
Okay.
So she becomes a comedian to...
A chameleon?
A comedian to vent all of her frustrations at her husband.
Okay.
And she gets super drunk and she goes down to the club and she slags off her husband and his secretary. And it becomes a career for her. And
Becomes a stand-up.
Yeah, she raises her 2 children on it, and it's like, oh.
Yeah.
And then in the season, I haven't finished watching season 2, but her dad finds out, and I'm just like, oh.
Is her dad quite old-fashioned then?
Yeah, because it's set in the times when.
Go on, pick a year. Pick a year. Go on, what's old-fashioned, Charlotte? Pick a year.
No, it's set in the times where women weren't supposed to get jobs.
Right.
And if you were married to a man, you weren't getting a job.
Pick a year.
I was going to say 1950s.
Okay, you might be right on that, but I thought you were going to say the 1990s, and I would have been really upset. Judith Hitchens said Hunt for the Wilder People, which I haven't actually heard of. No, I haven't seen that. Kath Keat said, friend of the show, said Abducted in Plain Sight. Alan Bowley was a series called You was very good and about a stalker obsessed boyfriend. Now, it's not my bag, okay? It's not my sort of thing. But I was in the gym the other day, right? I was in the gym and found myself getting involved in a conversation about that show, okay? And somebody said to me, "Have you seen this You?" I said, "No, what's it about?" He went, "It's about a it's about a stalker, and about stalking this woman." And then the other lady who was involved in the conversation said, "Yeah, I couldn't believe she dies at the end." I went, "Cheers! I'm never going to watch that now."
No, you've ruined it for me. Thanks a lot.
And every single one of our subscribers and listeners. Yeah, and everybody on Facebook Live. You know what happens at the end of You now.
Just forget,
Mike Christie, friend of the show, said Designated Survivor was pretty good. John Cook said The Legend of Barney Thompson, a Scottish black comedy with Robert Carlyle, Emma Thompson, Ray Winston. Louise, my cousin Lou, said Big Little Lies. David Dennison said Peaky Blinders. Lisa Kingett said Orphan Black and Bird Box. Mark Bartley said Star Trek. Alan Cleary said Stranger Things. Stranger
Things. New season, July 4th.
I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen any of them yet. I know. Sean Atson said Polar. Raj Shah said Chef's Table. Suits we had from Terry Lawson. Ozark from Mark Donnelly. Tom Hines said Narcos. Steve Clark said Fargo. Kath Harrell said The Crown. Look, there's so many. Andrew McKendry said Titans.
I love Titans.
What's Titans about?
Seven Deadly Sins. Oh, Seven Deadly Sins killed me inside.
Nick said Archer. Stuart said Star Trek. So we have Star Trek, Narcos, Breaking Bad, The Good Place, Better Call Saul, Annihilation. Apparently, people were really, really happy to share what they love on Netflix.
Oh.
Despite you believing that they wouldn't.
Yeah, but I don't like going, "Oh, I love this," and then people go, "Oh, that's a trashy show."
Clearly, people don't care if it's a trashy show or not. They love to share what they've got on Netflix. So that, my friend, is actually the end of the show.
Oh.
What was that ooh for?
I don't know. I didn't know what appropriate noise was appropriate, so I just made.
More like this. Oh.
That's a shame.
Should we try it again? That, my friend, is the end of the show.
Okay.
Until next time, listeners and Facebook Livers. Bye.
Bye.